Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am really glad I got one single vote to keep me, but that's 100%, which is actually amazing. In today's video, we are ranking areas, again, based on one vote. The criteria for the areas are way different from the bosses. The criteria are area visual design. This is how good the area is to look at. Is it eye candy or trash? The difficulty is how fair the difficulty of the area is in the point of the game you are at. For instance, an early game area should be easier than a late game area. This is not raw difficulty. There's a big difference. Then lastly, fun, an overall look on how fun the area was for me. And you are stupid if you can't figure out what overall quality means. It is all the ratings added together. With that sorted out, let's dive into the worst and ugliest levels. Let's start with the worst area in the entire game. I don't think anyone will disagree here, but this dungeon is just completely awful. Where do we start? Okay, firstly, it's a very short and very empty area without much to offer besides the Shichiman warrior and a couple of zombies and bugs which pose less a threat than the Mist Noble. It's also very bland to look at and barely needs to exist. The only reason it exists is an entry to Ashen depths, but not the only one and the only entrance to Senpu Temple. This area is deep down, where it belongs. The Ashen depths really incorporate the worst level hazard FromSoft have ever made, a poison lake. Like, come on FromSoft. It's been 5 games that include this hazard, and you still haven't decided to remove it even though players don't like it. Seriously. And to make matters worse, they dumped an army of gunmen in the pool and called it a day. You also fight a rehashed boss, which really doesn't help this area. The only redeeming factor is the hidden forest, but even that part, I personally didn't find that memorable, because it just feels super cheap to put infinitely respawning illusions. One of which is dogs, in this area. Literally, the only reason this area is second last is that the abandoned dungeon exists. The Sunken Valley Passage is actually down here for quite a similar reason as the Ashen depths. Did you guess it? Yes, the poison pool. Okay, it's not quite as bad, but there are too many monkeys that gank you, even in the poison pool. The underground section with the snake is also not that great as the poison is very annoying. Well, at least it has a good boss and the statues also look pretty cool. Other than that, there isn't much more to say about this area. The first area in the game is quite mediocre. Sure, it looks pretty cool, but it's just such a short area. Though it is quite memorable as the first thing you do in the game is actually stealth and you don't have your sword. It also teaches you all the basics you need through the game. Your return is almost identical to your first time through, except there are more and tougher enemies and one of the toughest mini-bosses in the game. Overall, it's a good tutorial with not a lot of flaws. It's lackluster compared to the next few areas. The name Gun Fort is not a joke. This area has so many gunmen and cannon guys in it, it's ridiculous. The area actually looks pretty cool with the snow, but boy will this area be frustrating, especially after the idol where you fight Snake Eyes Shirafuji. There are so many gunmen in the surrounding area, and also keep in mind that projectiles do bonus damage if they hit you while you are airborne, so you can't jump to avoid the bullets. My best strategy is to use the loaded umbrella prosthetic. And also don't get me started on the big cannon guys. They are very tanky and do lots of damage. Good luck with this area. I would have put this area higher on the list if the difficulty didn't feel so unfair. Naboo Village might not be considered an area by some, as in the idol Naboo Village is part of Ashen depths. But I think it should be its own area, as it is very different to Ashen depths, and the dramatic level text appears, so I am counting it. This area has a pretty cool gimmick. The enemies are super easy and barely do any damage but infinitely respawn. This is surprisingly well balanced, and I also like the look and feel of this abandoned township. Overall, this area is quite good, but the upcoming areas are just better. And finally we reached the game's hub area, but in my opinion, this hub is the worst hub out the entire Soul series. Why, you may ask? Well, there is barely any reason to have a hub in this game, as all you do here is upgrade prosthetic tools and your guard. But Emma moves to Kuro's room later in the game anyway. Oh, there is also good old Hanbei, a great personal trainer, but spoiler alert. You kill him later. There is also the info broker, a generic shopkeeper that you totally can't find like 6 times later in the game. Okay, the area isn't that bad, I just think it could be better if you had more reasons to go there, though there is one thing I can say this hub does right. It looks way more beautiful than Firelink Shrine and Majula combined. So that's quite good credit I can give it. It's still a good area though, but not as good as the next few areas, all of which I consider to be highly memorable and are of amazing quality. We finally come to the most gorgeous eye candy you are going to get. Fountainhead Palace is just so peaceful and relaxing to look at. Even all the bosses are beautiful. The warriors attack you so gracefully, and the waterfall with the nobles playing the flute is just surreal. Like, come on, there isn't any area in the game that comes close to that feeling. Okay, now let's, unfortunately, break the meditative state you were in, trying to picture yourself there. What holds this area back is the sheer frustration you will endure here, which is quite ironic if you ask me. Where to begin? The very first area after the corrupted monk has a courtyard full of lightning-shooting dogs. From Software couldn't design an enemy that would be more frustrating. But wait, there's more. The nobles are just dumped in a courtyard, and you know what attack they love doing? Sucking on a pipe? What do they love sucking from you? Your vitality and strength. This makes you collapse on the floor, walk and attack at a snail's pace, also draining your vitality and attack power to half of your starting values, all while the swordsmen gank you. Luckily the second section isn't that bad, as there are no nobles, but there are so many swordsmen and some can kick soccer balls at you. If one hits you in the air, you die. Game over. Well, at least if you don't have resurrection power. This area is so calm, but yet so frustrating at the same time. It's great area overall, but just not that fun to go through. Let's just move on. We've come to the area where everyone's real journey starts. Ashen outskirts. It is a great area. It has just the right amount of challenge for most of the level to really challenge new players, but not frustrate them. I did say most of it. I don't even have to say what that part is and you'll know it. The WWF Chained Ogre has probably caused more players to quit than Udex Gundyr and Father Gascoigne combined. Well, the area has a couple of cool secrets for the thorough players. The snake part is also really cool, as From Software haven't done anything like it before. Overall this area is really memorable for all the right reasons. This area I am pretty sure quite a fraction of people missed until way later in their playthrough or their next playthrough. Seriously, it's not made so clear how to get into Hirata Estates. Well, if you do get there, be in for a real treat. There are so many drunken bandits in this area, it's quite overwhelming. Well, luckily the bandits are pretty weak and you'll easily make your way through the first part of the estate. Then you go on to the core, Juzu is waiting right there for you with his bandits, primed to kill. The area with the fire is really just cool to look at. There isn't much bad about it except the fact that it's hard to access and the ganky enemies can be frustrating. Next up, Senpu Temple. This area is pretty long but it is fair. You first come to this mountain for the Mortal Blade, but you have to get past all the fist-fighting monks. They are very strong and they really love to gank you. This area is also really gorgeous to look at and it is also pretty fun to go through. Then you have an epic duel with the armored warrior on a bridge. This area is, in my opinion, one of the best all-round areas in the game. Give it a round of applause. We have officially reached the point where I can't really fault the areas too much. And number 1. Well, I guess no one expected this, but I don't think anyone will disagree. From the moment you see Ashen Castle in the background in Ashen Outskirts, you think to yourself, I would really like to go there. When you finally do, it's so cool. The few troops left are desperately defending Ashen, giving their all on the battlefield. And when you go onto the rooftops with the Nightjar ninjas, dueling for the right to progress is just such an amazing feeling. The ascent to the tip of the castle is just so epic. When you come close to the top in the dojo, the elite tries their best, but even they can't stop you. The battles on top the castle don't disappoint either. Oh yeah, you also come back to this great area 3 times. That's why it has so many mini-bosses and bosses. When you come to the end of your great journey and to see the castle on fire and being attacked is just heartbreaking. Even with all that said, this area is still not perfect, just like everything in life. Thanks for watching this video to the end. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing content. Bye.